Energy fuels. Energy fuels are substances that the body uses to produce the energy necessary for performing essential functions such as breathing, movement, and cellular activity. These fuels are primarily derived from macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, which provide the chemical energy required by the body. The body also stores energy in the form of glycogen and fat, which can be broken down into usable energy when needed. Understanding the types of energy fuels, how they are utilized, and the processes involved in their conversion into usable energy is essential for understanding how the body sustains physical activity and overall health. Overview of energy. Energy fuels can be categorized into immediate energy sources and stored energy reserves. Immediate energy fuels are those that are readily available for use in the body, while stored energy reserves are accumulated forms of energy that can be mobilized when required. Fuels. Immediate energy sources. Adenosine triphosphate ATP, the primary energy currency of the body. ATP provides energy directly for cellular functions, but it is only available in small amounts and must be continuously regenerated. Creatine phosphate. In cells, particularly muscle cells, creatine phosphate serves as a rapid source of energy to regenerate ATP. Stored energy reserves. Glycogen, a polysaccharide stored in the liver and muscles. Glycogen can be broken down into glucose, which is a key energy source during exercise and other energy demanding activities. Fat, that is triglycerides. Fat is stored in adipose tissue and serve as the most energy dense fuel source, providing a long-term energy reserve. Proteins. While proteins are primarily used for growth, repair, and structure, in extreme cases, example, prolonged fasting or starvation, they can be used as an energy source. Types of energy fuels. The primary source of energy for the body are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Each fuel has distinct characteristics that determine its role in providing energy and how it is utilized. Carbohydrates as energy fuel. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred source of energy, especially during high intensity physical activities. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which is then used in glycolysis pathways to generate ATP. Sources. Carbohydrates are found in foods such as grains, bread, rice, pasta, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. Glucose and glycogen. When consumed, carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which enters the bloodstream and is transported to cells where it can be used for energy. Excess glucose is stored in the liver and muscles as glycogen for later use. Energy yield. Carbohydrates provide about 4 kilocalories per gram. Uses in the body. During exercise, particularly in activities like running, cycling, or weightlifting, glucose and glycogen are rapidly used for energy production. The brain also relies heavily on glucose, with up to 60% of the body's glucose being used by the brain at rest. Anaerobic versus aerobic metabolism. Anaerobic metabolism, that is, without oxygen, uses glycogen to produce energy quickly, but it also produces lactic acid, which can lead to muscle fatigue. Aerobic metabolism, that is with oxygen, uses glucose in combination with oxygen for more sustained efficient energy production with carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. 2.2 Fats as energy fuel. Fat is the most energy dense macronutrient, providing more than double the energy per gram compared to carbohydrates. It serves as the body's long term energy storage. Sources. Fats come from dietary sources like oils, nuts, seeds, avocados, dairy products, and meat. Fatty acids and triglycerides. Triglycerides are the main form of the fat stored in adipose tissues. They consist of three fatty acids attached to a glycerol molecule. When energy is required, triglycerides are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, which can then be converted into acetyl CoA for use in Krebs cycle to produce ATP. Energy yields. Fats provide 9 kilocalories per gram, which is more than double the energy provided by carbohydrates or proteins. Uses in the body. Fat is primarily used as an energy source during low intensity activities. Example walking, resting, and long duration activities. Example endurance sports. Fat oxidation is a slower process than carbohydrate oxidation, but it provides a much larger and more sustainable energy supply. During extended periods of activity, such as long distance running, fat is mobilized as the body depletes its glycogen stores. Fat metabolism. Fat metabolism is more oxygen dependent than carbohydrate metabolism, which is why fat is typically used during lower intensity activities where the body has sufficient oxygen availability. Ketogenesis can occur when carbohydrate availability is low, leading to the production of ketones as an alternative energy source for the brain and muscles. 2.3 Proteins as energy fuel. Proteins are not the body's primary energy source, rather, they are used for tissue building, repair, and maintenance. However, in situations of prolonged exercise, starvation, or insufficient carbohydrate and fat intake, the body may begin to break down proteins for energy. Sources. Proteins are found in foods such as meat, fish, eggs, dairy products, beans, nuts, and legumes. Amino acids. Proteins are broken down into amino acids, which can be used for energy yield. Protein provide about 4 kilocalories per gram, similar to carbohydrates. Uses in the body. Protein is primarily used for the synthesis of muscle tissue, enzymes, and other essential molecules. Glucogenic amino acids can be converted into glucose through glucogenesis, providing an energy source when carbohydrate stores are low. Ketogenic amino acid can be converted into ketones and used for energy, particularly when carbohydrate intake is insufficient. When protein is used for energy. In a state of prolonged fasting or carbohydrate depletion, protein breakdown for energy may increase, which can lead to the loss of muscle mass and the overall body strength. Point 3 Metabolism of energy fuels. Energy metabolism refers to the chemical processes through which the body generates energy from the food we eat. The metabolic pathways for each of three primary energy fuels, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, vary. but they all ultimately lead to the production of ATP, the molecule that powers cellular functions. 3.1 Glycolysis Carbohydrate Metabolism. Glycolysis is the first step in the breakdown of glucose or glycogen to produce ATP. This process occurs in the cytoplasm of cell and does not require oxygen, anaerobic. The end product of glycolysis can enter either aerobic metabolism with oxygen to produce more ATP or anaerobic metabolism without oxygen to produce lactic acid. Aerobic glycolysis leads to complete oxidation of glucose, producing carbon dioxide, water, and a significant amount of ATP. Anaerobic glycolysis produces ATP quickly but also leads to lactate accumulation, which can contribute to muscle fatigue. 3.2 Beta oxidation, that is, fat metabolism. Beta oxidation is the breakdown of fatty acid into acidyl CoA, which can enter the Krebs cycle for the further energy production. This process occurs in the mitochondria and requires oxygen, making fat a primary energy source during low intensity aerobic activities. Fatty acids are broken down into two carbon units, forming acetyl CoA that enters the Krebs cycle to generate ATP. 3.3 Protein catabolism. When carbohydrates and fats are insufficient, proteins can be broken down into amino acids for energy. The process involves deamination, removal of amino group from amino acids, forming ammonia, which is excreted as urea in urine. The remaining carbon skeletons can be converted into intermediates that enter the Krebs cycle for ATP production. Point 4 Conclusion. The role of energy fuels in human physiology. Energy fuels, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are essential for maintaining bodily functions, supporting physical activity, and promoting recovery. Carbohydrates provide a quick and easily accessible source of energy, while fats offer a more energy dense and sustained fuel source. Proteins, though primarily used for tissue repair and growth, can be utilized as an energy source in certain conditions. By understanding how these energy fuels are metabolized and used, we can optimize dietary intake and physical activity to ensure efficient energy use, support performance, and maintain overall health.